Welcome to the Endo Belly Girl podcast. I'm your host, Alyssa Chavez. I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner and restorative wellness practitioner on a mission to change the way that we support women with endometriosis. Endo is a full-body disease that impacts your mind, body, and spirit in countless ways that aren't often addressed the way that women truly deserve. We are here to talk about all of it. Please keep in mind that the content of this show has been created for educational purposes only and should never be used as a replacement for medical diagnosis or treatment. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I am so excited for today's episode because I get to share with you guys all about what I'm really passionate about these days, which is what I actually do when I work with clients. I've gotten a lot of questions about this because my title is a nutritional therapy practitioner, also restorative wellness practitioner, which I'm going to get to the difference between those two in this episode today. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, don't worry, you're in the right place. But I've been getting a lot of questions about this. We've been talking about nutrition, and we've been talking about how to create the best diet for you with endometriosis. But I've been getting a lot of questions about, okay, Alyssa, what is it exactly that you do? So that's what I'm here to share with you today. So my title, I am a nutritional therapy practitioner, and I'm also a restorative wellness practitioner. So basically what that means is I started off getting the foundational training in nutrition and later went on to go deeper and really learn more because that's just my personality. Once I learn something, once I get one little nugget of information and I find it really helpful and valuable, I'm one of those people that I just have to take a deep dive and go there and learn all the things. Honestly, this will probably be a lifelong journey for me. I don't foresee myself stopping to learn about this stuff anytime soon. So let's just keep it rolling. So I wanted to start off by sharing a little bit of my backstory of how I got into this in the first place. So my journey started because of my own health. I'm an endo warrior myself, and I had started off by going to all the doctors and trying all the medications and even went in to do a couple of rounds of IVF. And all of this led me to decide that I wanted to be able to find a way to support my own body on a deeper level. I was just tired of all of these Band-Aid solutions that didn't really fix the problem, that felt kind of temporary or weren't really getting to the resolution that I really wanted. So that led me to start to just do my own research on my own at first. I was spending a lot of time on Google, reading different articles, checking out books, all the things, consuming podcasts, which come full circle. Here I am now sharing a podcast with you. And I ended up coming across a blog as well as a book that were written by a fellow nutritional therapy practitioner. And I was reading this information that she was sharing. I started to dive in and try some of these things on myself. And I started to see results. I started by changing my diet and trying out some lifestyle changes, just some little things at first. And I definitely started to see some results very quickly. And that really piqued my attention. Then I was sitting there going, oh my goodness, I have got to learn more. This is amazing. What does this person know? How do I work with her? And it turned out at the time she had a wait list to work with her, but I was able to do some research and figure out where she got her training in the first place. And I thought to myself, well, why don't I go in and actually learn what she has learned? And then I can not only help myself, but I can pay it forward and help other people as well. So that's where I am now. So I ended up joining the Nutritional Therapy Association, which is a program that teaches you all about nutrition. I knew for a long time that I wanted to get into the world of nutrition in some fashion. I've always been interested in it and just how food can impact your body, but I wasn't sure where to go. I had dug into some other courses or researched some other courses that were kind of more traditional nutrition training, and I just didn't love it. I felt like it was lacking that true pathway towards healing. I didn't want to just know about the food pyramid and the My Plate, which is like the new version of the food pyramid. I wanted to know more than that. I wanted to know how you could actually use food as medicine. And the Nutritional Therapy Association really dives into a lot of that stuff. Okay, so what exactly is a nutritional therapy practitioner? So first, I'm going to share a little quote from the Nutritional Therapy Association's website, which says, "The Nutritional Therapy Practitioner Program is uniquely based on a foundational holistic approach to nutrition that honors the bio-individuality of our bodies. The NTP program teaches you specific tools for supporting clients and assessing the body's nutritional needs using the body's innate intelligence, thoughtfully prepared whole foods, and lifestyle factors." And I would say that's a pretty accurate description. But what I really want to share with you guys is, in my own words, from my own experience, what this really means. So what we really do is we take a root cause approach. We figure out why your body is actually out of balance. Really, we try to look at the person as a whole, as an individual, and we use signs and symptoms to listen to your body's own intuition and find a pathway towards health. Really, what we're doing is supporting your body's innate ability to heal. And that's something that I think is really important to note. Our bodies want to be in balance. Our bodies want to heal. Your body doesn't want to be in pain and suffering all the time, but it needs support in order to do that. So that's really the work that I do, is doing the work, digging in, investigating what is going on in your body, what your body is telling us, so that we can help to support your body in the way that it needs in order to be able to heal, which is possible. So just diving into some of the stuff that I learned at the NTA, I'm going to start to use the abbreviations, by the way. NTA is Nutritional Therapy Association. That's where I trained. Nutritional Therapy Practitioner, or NTP, is my title. I'm going to use those shortened terms for the rest of this podcast just to make it easier for all of us. So some of the major principles that we learned there are learning how to really create a nutrient-dense, properly prepared diet. So what does that mean? When we're talking nutrient density, what that really means is kind of what it sounds. Creating a diet that is full of nutrients, because most of us are nutrient deficient in many ways. That can be lacking in some specific nutrients. Some of the common nutrient deficiencies I see are things like magnesium and zinc. We actually talked about that a little bit in episode 1. And really a lot of that comes from the fact that we tend to eat, especially in the United States where I live, we tend to eat a diet that is very high in processed foods. We tend to eat a lot of foods that come from packages, convenience foods, fast food. And unfortunately, so much of that food has really been robbed from its nutrients. Some of the ingredients may have started off as food at one point in time, but so many of those ingredients have been altered and broken down in ways that they no longer really contain nutrients that help to serve our bodies. And the problem with that is that our bodies need those nutrients to do everything. Our bodies need nutrients to build new cells and to heal and to detoxify and to even digest and to build hormones and all the things. And if we're eating a diet that's really lacking in those nutrients, well, that becomes a problem. And when your body starts to become nutrient deficient, then we start to experience symptoms of that. And then there's also the idea of having a properly prepared diet. And that means a wide array of things. A lot of that comes back to cooking things in a way that maintains the nutrients. So that can be even using a combination of eating certain fruits and vegetables raw as well as cooked at other times. Even things like sautéing vegetables lightly or steaming vegetables can retain more of the nutrients than, say, grilling vegetables or even roasting vegetables, right? That's going to break down the nutrients a little bit more in some of those foods. Properly prepared can also mean things like soaking your grains before you prepare them. For example, if you're going to eat rice, we recommend that you soak the rice in water as well as a little bit, like a tablespoon of either lemon juice or apple cider vinegar, and soak it all day before you eat it. I actually soak rice for about 8 hours, and that helps to remove what's called the anti-nutrients that are on a lot of these grains, which what happens is you're eating these grains and it contains these chemicals that actually break down nutrients that you may have in your body. So it actually can remove certain nutrients, and that's, of course, something that we don't want. One of the other major principles that we follow is bioindividuality. And what this really means is looking at each person as an individual and as a whole, and looking at all the aspects, right? Not just symptoms, not just what you may be telling us, but really digging in and looking at the full, complete picture. And understanding that there isn't one cookie cutter protocol that works for everybody. And that's the problem when I see things like the endometriosis diet, which I see talked about so much. Oh, you just have to follow the endometriosis diet. Well, that is a very oversimplified way of talking about it. In my mind, there is no such thing as an endometriosis diet. Really, it's a matter of pinpointing exactly what diet works for you and your unique body. And that's what bioindividuality is all about. Now, if you want to know more about the nutrition piece of things, go back to episode 1 and episode 2. I'll link those in the show notes. And that's when we really dive into some of the specifics of a nutrient-dense diet, a whole food diet, and how you can go about creating that for yourself. So, as a nutritional therapy practitioner, I use as my foundational work what we call the foundations. Makes a lot of sense, right? So those foundations that we look at as far as supporting your body at that root cause level is going to be digestion, blood sugar regulation, fatty acids, mineral balance, and hydration. So those are kind of those main pieces that I look at when I start working with a client. And we'll dig into all of this stuff deeper in a future episode. But basically, that means we're looking at how is your digestive health, because it's not you are what you eat, it's actually you are what you can absorb. So if we're supporting your body's ability to absorb nutrients and to be able to know what foods are okay for your body, what foods might be contributing to inflammation, what food sensitivities you might have, this is all related back to digestion, especially for those of you who do experience digestive symptoms, endo belly. That's the name of my podcast here, the endo belly girl. Endo belly is a super common symptom that refers back to that extreme bloating that a lot of women with endometriosis experience. Well, at the end of the day, that really comes back more than anything to your digestive health. When you're experiencing bloating on a day-to-day basis, regardless of whether you have endometriosis or not, really what that tells us is that your digestive system needs support. So that's one of the major pieces that I look at, and we're going to talk even more about that in a little bit. One of the other pieces I look at that really is underrated is blood sugar regulation. So that's a matter of keeping your blood sugar stable all throughout the day. So we don't have major spikes, we don't have major dips. We're trying to keep things fairly stable, and that helps to keep your hormones in balance. It helps to support your body's levels of stress. It really relates back to a whole lot of things. We also look at the balance of fats that you have in your body. Are you getting more of the healthy fats like omega-3s, or are you getting a whole bunch of the unhealthy fats like vegetable oils? Trying to balance that out and really looking at how your body, again, is digesting fats. Is that something that you're able to handle? We take a look at mineral balance. Are there certain minerals that your body could use more of? Are you getting enough minerals? So many of us aren't, because these days especially, even if you're really focusing on eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, many people still can be deficient in minerals because our soils these days are so depleted. So if you look back in history, the nutrients of a carrot 50 years ago compared to the nutrients of a carrot now, it's completely different. The amount of magnesium and other minerals is way lower. So that's where we like to look at supplementing if we need to, or adding additional foods that may be really high in certain minerals. And then hydration. Hydration is another one of those lovely underrated things that is so important to your health, but a lot of us kind of pass over that little nugget. It's such low-hanging fruit. I also like to really explore your sleep, stress, movement, endocrine health, immune health, cardiovascular health, detoxification. There's so many other things that I can dive into as a nutritional therapy practitioner. And on future episodes, we're going to dive into all of this stuff in so much more detail. Today is just to kind of give you an overview of what I do. So if you have no idea what a nutritional therapy practitioner is or does, this may be super helpful. And then what I really have learned to do is put all of that information together. I've created a process to take my clients through while keeping that bio-individual approach. So I have a general process, but it also is very individualized based on your unique needs. Because even people with endometriosis, just because you may have the same general symptoms or the same disease, doesn't mean that I can take the same exact approach with each client. And that's one of the key pieces of my practice that I follow. So what does the process actually look like if you're working with a nutritional therapy practitioner? We start off always with a very in-depth intake. So I send all of my new clients a very long health history form that they fill out that gives me a whole lot of information. I also have them fill out a food and mood journal where they send me a breakdown of what they've been eating every day we actually do 7 days of food and mood journal before we have our first meeting, so I can really see the ins and outs of what you're eating. And I always remind my clients, I want to see what you're actually eating. You're not trying to be perfect just because you're going to send this to me. The point is to see more like how you're eating on a day-to-day basis so that we can see where we need to make some adjustments. And I also use a tool called the NAQ, or the Nutritional Assessment Questionnaire. And that is a questionnaire that includes 300 plus symptoms in your body. And from my end, those symptoms relate back to everything from the health of your upper GI to your small intestine, your large intestine, your liver, your kidneys, your mineral balance, your fatty acid balance, your sugar handling. There's so many things that we can see just based on those symptoms. And it actually spits out a little graph for us where I'm able to see what areas might need the most support. I can look at individual symptoms and take a look at what that might be telling us, especially the things that you're telling me as a client are really affecting your day-to-day life. Those are the things that we're going to be addressing first and really doing our best to support. So on the back end, what I do is I analyze all of that. I connect those symptoms with areas that might need support. And then we go in and we meet for a 90-minute initial consultation. So this is way different than your little 10-minute meeting you might have with a doctor, right? I really want to get to know my clients as a person, as a human. So we go over all of the paperwork. I get to ask all my questions. I act like a detective. I get to really dig in and find out exactly what it is that's going on, where you need the most support, what your goals are in your health, right? It's not a matter of just pinpointing what I think you need to work on the most, but also consulting with my clients and figuring out, where do you want to be? What are your goals, either health goals or just things that you'd like to be able to do in your life that you're maybe not able to do right now because your symptoms are holding you back. We talk about all of it. And then we can dive in and start to put together a bio-individual protocol, which, like I said, is completely based on each individual person. It doesn't look the same for everybody. That involves things like nutrition, supplements, lifestyle changes. We can also talk about doing some functional testing at that point in time, which that really is more of the restorative wellness practitioner piece of what I do, and I'm going to come back to that more in a second. But that is really where I would put that in when I'm working with a client. After we do that, at the end of that 90-minute initial consultation, we would talk about functional testing along with everything else and make a game plan for what works best for that unique individual client. And then after that, we check in regularly. I usually meet with my clients every 2 to 3 weeks. We meet for anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour each time, depending on where they are in the protocol, how much support they need. I'm also available for chat in between sessions, which is super helpful for people if they just have little questions in between. So there's a lot of support. It's very hands-on. It's not just, here's a protocol, go, let me know how it went in, 12 weeks. That's not how I work. I'm very hands-on. I like to be in there, in the trenches with you, knowing exactly what's happening, where you're struggling, where you might need support, because that's how people really get results. I know I have been in situations myself where I have been, even working with more holistic practitioners, I've been sent home with a protocol and then I don't see that practitioner again for 12 weeks and I really have no way of reliably getting a hold of them. And I found for myself what happens is I end up just dropping off. Even though I have the best of intentions and I really want to get the results and I really want to feel better, I end up dropping off because if I get lost a little bit, or maybe I'm just struggling to keep up the habits that I'm working on creating. It's so much more than just knowing the information. It's having support in the implementation of it. And I found that to be really, really effective with my clients. So that's really the basics of the nutritional therapy practitioner work that I do. But like I said, I can't help myself. Once I learned something, I really loved everything that I learned through the Nutritional Therapy Association. And so I really just had to learn more. One of the pieces that really was interesting to me was the gut health piece of it. I've always been really interested in all of that. I've heard some things over the years as far as things like leaky gut. What is that? Trying to pinpoint exactly what foods I'm sensitive to, I feel like is something I've struggled with my whole life. And that's when I discovered Restorative Wellness Solutions, which is an incredible program that really takes the work of a nutritional therapy practitioner and other nutritional professionals as well and deepens it. And in that program, we really went in depth on learning all things gut health, a lot of anatomy and physiology, of digestion, and how everything actually works so that I developed a deeper understanding of everything. And I received extensive training on functional lab testing. And that's another thing where I think a lot of practitioners struggle, is that they may gain access to these functional tests without having that really in-depth training to back it up. And that can lead to still doing a lot of guesswork, which is really the reason I wanted to do functional testing and be able to add that to my practice as well, is I wanted to be able to speed up the process, help my clients get results faster and better results. And the functional lab testing really, really helps with that because it allows us to take a deep look at what is actually going on. You get hard data, you get numbers, and I love that stuff. My brain works really well with that. I love getting all that deep information, and I found it to be a super effective tool in my practice. In fact, at this point, at a minimum, I tend to use a GI map and an MRT food sensitivity test with pretty much every single one of my clients. And then I also have hormone testing as an option for those who need that deeper level of support. So what exactly is functional lab testing? You all are probably familiar with lab testing to some extent. You probably have had blood work done at some point in time, maybe have had given urine samples or even stool samples at some point in your life. So the basic idea is the same. We use blood, stool, saliva, urine, or even hair, and send those to various labs depending on what kind of results we're looking for. And we look for markers for digestive health, inflammation, hormones, metabolism, nutrient status, mineral balance, adrenal health, food sensitivities, and so many more things. And that helps to give me a good picture along with everything that I learned by actually talking with the client and getting to know them as a human being to really understand and be able to make connections on what is going on inside of your body and the symptoms that you're experiencing. So the main tools that I like to use in my practice is the GI map, which is a stool test. So it's an at-home kit. It comes with very clear instructions. Okay, it's maybe not the most fun thing you've ever done in your life, but honestly, it really is relatively painless. I was about to say painful. That's wrong. Relatively painless collecting the sample. You just put it in a little vial, you seal it up, you ship it back to the lab. I get the test results, and the results that I get from that GI map really give me an inside look of what's going on in your digestive health and what's going on even in your microbiome. That's a big piece of what I get to see. I get to see what the balance of bacteria in your body looks like. Do you have more of the good gut bugs? Do you have more of the opportunistic bad gut bugs in there? And we'll dive into more of what that means at a later date because I could spend hours just talking about that piece. There are also some markers on that test that show us some information about digestive health, which gives me a very clear pathway of where to go with your protocol, what to do with that. I like to, at the same time, use an MRT food sensitivity test. Now, this is different than some other food sensitivity tests you may have taken at other point in your lives or may have seen advertised, because a lot of those food sensitivity tests that you can just order on your own, they may be saliva tests, and they often only test certain types of immune reactions. So that's something that's important to know. There are different ways that your immune system can respond to things that it sees as foreign, right? Food sensitivities. And if you're only testing one type of immune reaction and not others, that can lead to incomplete results or even false results. And that's where people find frustration, I think, with food sensitivity tests because, okay, you tested, you removed those foods, and you don't really feel better or you don't get long-lasting results. So the MRT test that I use is a blood test. You have to actually go into a lab and get your blood drawn, which it's a similar idea where I send you a kit and you can search and find a local lab that can draw your blood and ship it in for you. It's really a pretty simple process. And we get back the results of testing multiple types of immune reactions directly in your blood to a whole bunch of different foods, hundreds of different foods. And that shows us a lovely picture of what's really going on in your body so we can have an exact plan. And what I do with that is that I take the results of the MRT, we remove the foods that your body is sensitive to temporarily. It's not intended to be a long-term solution where you just remove those foods for the rest of your life. No. You remove those foods temporarily for a short period of time while we're also going through a gut healing protocol based on the GI map results. And then at the end of that protocol, we start to wean off of some of the supplements that we may have been using for the gut healing protocol. And then one at a time start to actually reintroduce the foods that you removed and see how your body reacts. And honestly, more often than not, most of my clients are able to reintroduce all of the foods at the end of the day, or at least most of them. Sometimes they may have a food or two that your body still reacts to, and that's okay. Because then what we can do is remove those foods for a little bit longer. We can continue to do that gut healing work and then try reintroducing them again in the future. So it's still not a life sentence. And honestly, removing too many foods for too long a period of time can actually result in nutrient deficiencies. And that can just end up leading to you feeling worse than you did when you started, which doesn't help. So that's why I have that particular process that I use. One of the other tools that I like to use is hormone testing. There's a lot of different ways to test hormones. I like to use either saliva or dried urine or both, depending on the situation and what we're trying to look at and what sort of symptoms we're trying to work on. But this gives us a good picture of what's going on as far as your hormone levels. I can look at both sex hormones like estrogen, progesterone, and even testosterone, as well as adrenal hormones, which can be really important for endo warriors as well, because many of us are really stressed out because we have a chronic health condition. So bringing your adrenals back into balance and giving them the nutrients that they need can actually be a really important piece of the puzzle as well. And all of that hormone stuff is especially important if you're looking at fertility, because as many of you are aware, endometriosis is also one of the top causes of infertility. And looking at rebalancing your hormones as well as getting to the root of things with the gut health and things like that can really give us a good picture of what's going on, so I can create a pathway forward of bringing everything back into balance to really help to improve and even restore fertility, which is very possible. So I really love the testing because it gets rid of the guessing. I know that's something that I really struggled with for a long time, where I would just be guessing, let me try this, let me try that, because I heard it on the internet. And unfortunately, that pathway doesn't work very well, which many of you may have already figured out on your own. So Using the functional testing helps me to get my clients results faster, longer lasting results. We actually get to the root of what's going on, and that part is really important. So, what do I actually do with the test results once I get them? I went into that a little bit. What I do is design a personalized protocol for each client that pretty much always involves doing a 12-week gut healing protocol, which includes some supplements, dietary changes, lifestyle support, depending on what's going on and where you really need that support. And then what we can do is even do a retest of that GI map at the end of the protocol to see how things are going, and if we need to continue, do a little bit more healing, or if things have really improved a lot. So that's something that I like to do, and it kind of gives you a nice little before and after, see what's going on. And then the results that I see with my clients, you're all probably dying to know that. What actually can happen when you're doing all of this work? So I always see improvement in gut symptoms. For many people, that can even mean a complete resolution of gut symptoms. That was really the case for me. So that can include things like if you're experiencing bloating, diarrhea, constipation, IBS-type symptoms, heartburn, any of those gut symptoms, definitely food sensitivities I include in that gut symptoms category also. So you could expect to see definite improvement, if not complete resolution of those symptoms. My clients also will experience a huge reduction or even complete elimination of pain and fatigue because we're reducing inflammation. And we're going to talk later on in a future episode about what that connection is between gut health and inflammation and the pain and fatigue that you experience. But there is a definite connection there. And so my clients often experience major results in those areas because of the work that we're doing. Many people are also able to eat more foods than they were able to before because the food sensitivities, leaky gut issues have been resolved. And so your gut is more able to digest foods correctly and break them down. And then your body doesn't recognize those foods as foreign in your body because they don't have these large food particles going into your bloodstream. And that can make a huge impact as well. I also see a lot of results in hormone balance. I see less PMS, I see better periods, more regular and predictable cycles, improved fertility, so many things. Honestly, this work, I know this sounds a little dramatic, but I truly mean this from the bottom of my heart. This work is life-changing. I didn't start a podcast here just because I like to talk, although, okay, maybe that's true also. But I wanted to start this podcast so I could share this information with you and really get it out to the world because I've done this work for myself. I've done this work with my clients, and I see how much this work changes people's lives. I actually find myself wanting to get a little choked up about it. I know, just speaking for myself, I was really, really struggling for a long time in so many ways. And doing this type of support, getting to the root cause of what's going on, learning how to support my body. Not only do I feel better physically, but I feel a sense of empowerment because I know that there's something that I can do. Even if in the future I have more imbalances going on, something goes haywire in my body, now I have tools. Now I know what I can do. Now I have a pathway forward. And to me, that's the most important thing. And if that's something that's important to you too, well, you're in the right place. Okay, how long does it take to get results? This is a common question that I get. I work with clients for a minimum of 6 months. I don't do anything shorter than that because the work that we do is really deep work. It doesn't happen overnight. You can't do 1 or 2 sessions and just expect to get these incredible results. You have to be willing to do the work and really dig in to be able to see changes, and that takes a commitment. That being said, it doesn't mean it's going to take 6 months to see any sort of changes in your body. Many people start seeing results in a few weeks. Most people will see some sort of noticeable results within 3 months and some major life-changing results within that 6 months time. I do have many clients who will actually stay on for ongoing work in what I call my maintenance packages after those 6 months, where we can do retesting along the way. We can meet at longer intervals in between our sessions, but still meet regularly so that we can do that continued support. But it is common that my clients will start to see results fairly quickly once we start the work. So that part is really cool. And that, my friends, is really the basics of what I do. So with all of my clients, I still do that foundational nutritional therapy practitioner work, digging into all things nutrition and blood sugar, hydration, lifestyle, nutrient-dense diet, bioindividuality. All of that stuff I very much use with every single one of my clients. And then I also use the restorative wellness practitioner deeper work. I love using the functional testing. I love getting the hard data. I love getting a deeper understanding of what's going on with your gut, your hormones, and the synergistic workings of your body. How do those things all connect together? That's all super important things. Now, if this is all something that sounds really interesting to you, definitely look into working with a practitioner. You can definitely work with a nutritional therapy practitioner if you want to do that foundational work. You can work with a restorative wellness practitioner if you want to really be able to dig in. My biggest recommendation with that is to find a practitioner who you really resonate with. Whoever you work with, you're going to be working with them very closely and probably for an extended period of time. And it's really going to be a partnership. So find somebody that you feel connected with, that you feel like really resonates with your own belief system and your own way of thinking and is really going to help you to tune in with your own body. Now, there are many, many practitioners out there who have similar training who may have different specialties, right? I took the training that I received and I chose to specialize in endometriosis because I have personal experience in that area. I know that I can really connect with people. I do know other practitioners who specialize in areas like gut health or fertility or hormone balance or just generally complex cases or other specific health concerns. So if this is something that's interesting to you, but either you don't have endometriosis or you want to find somebody who specializes in another area, maybe you have a friend or a family member who could benefit from this work, who has something else going on, I'm going to link in the show notes the search for restorative wellness practitioner and nutritional therapy practitioner. So you can kind of find a practitioner who may really resonate with what you do. And also then there's a matter of location, right? I'm located in California in the United States. I mostly work with people located in the United States because with the testing and with the supplements that I use, it makes all of that enormously easier. However, there are practitioners located worldwide. I know there's a lot of practitioners in the UK, in Australia, other areas of Europe, Asia. There's practitioners everywhere. Plus, it can, of course, get a little challenging with time zones. Like I think Australia is about an 18-hour time difference for me. So trying to find times that we can meet up that work for all of us can be a little bit tricky. So you will find links in the show notes of how to book a free consultation with me. I am accepting new clients at the moment. I have some limited slots available, and a free consultation is the best place to start because that'll give us an opportunity. Basically, we hop on the phone or a virtual call together. We can kind of talk about what your goals are, what you're trying to do, if this work is going to be a good fit for you before you move forward, or if you would benefit by trying to find a different practitioner, either based on location or trying to find somebody that supports different areas. I will link those practitioner search pages in the show notes as well. You can also find me on Instagram at EndoBellyGirl and just send me a DM. I have a lot of personal connections that I can recommend as well if there's something specific that you're looking for. All right. Well, I hope everybody that brings you a little bit of clarity. I've received a lot of questions about this. I know what I do is not super mainstream, at least as of yet, maybe in the future. But I hope that brings some clarity to you. I would love it if you can share this episode with a friend, if you know somebody who might receive some benefit from it. I would also love to hear from you. Send me a DM on Instagram and just let me know your thoughts about this episode. What did you find most interesting? What are your biggest takeaways? I always love to hear that stuff, and I love to connect with you all. Okay, my friend. Well, that's all that I have for you today. I can't wait until the next episode. I have so many things that I want to share with you guys, and I have some super exciting things coming up. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss all the fun. All right, my friend, we'll talk soon. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you loved what you heard, be sure to leave a review, share with a friend, and subscribe so you can keep coming back for more. If you are ready to take the next step toward getting to the root of your endo symptoms like endo belly, pain, fatigue, and so much more, you need to take my Endo Reset free course. You can find the link in the show notes or at www.endobellygirl.com. Till next time, my friend.